So now we've come to our next step, which is to create the walls of the pot and shape it. So as I'm working, you can see that I've made my ridge, I've opened, I've compressed the bottom, and now what I need to do is I need to even out those walls and pull up that clay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my sponge for the kind of first evening step, so I don't have to press too hard on the clay and knock it out of balance. Again, my hands are going to be locked in place as I work. Notice that left hand on the inside, right hand on the outside. I'm going to get underneath the ridge of clay that I've created, and I'm going to pull up together to create those walls. So first step is evening. Notice that wall of clay coming up. And I'm going to lighten up my pressure as I get to the top, because I want to make sure that I don't thin the top too much. I'm going to let go very gently, because otherwise I'm going to have a boomerang effect and knock it off center. So at this point, I want to go back in. I'm going to make another ridge so that you can see it. You can see it from the inside and you can see it from the outside. I'm going to wet my clay, wet my hands. I'm going to lock my arms in place. Notice that my thumbs lock together so that I can guide myself up evenly, because if your hands move position, you're going to knock it out of center. So my pull is from underneath. I never move faster than the revolutions of the wheel head. And I'm already starting to think about the shape of the pot and what kind of rim I want for it. So notice I don't thin the rim very much. I come back down, and I'm going to do the same thing over and over until I've got the clay to a place where I feel comfortable that it's thin enough for the walls. Again, I'll make a ridge down on the bottom. My thumb guides my fingers. I'll thin the rim just a little bit, and I'll start to shape it and round it with my sponge, my fingertips. And should have one more good pull before I'm ready to shape the pot. Notice I'm keeping the top from flaring out by reducing my pressure and letting go gently. I'll probably pull one more time. It's a nicely centered pot, so I'm not too worried about it. Okay. So to shape the pots now I'm not going to pull any clay up anymore. This time I'm going to guide. I'm either going to push out from the inside or push in from the outside, but in any case, the two fingers are going to be together and they're going to guide one another. They're not going to one above or one below. They're going to be together so that I don't push into the wall of the pot. And I'm going to go ahead and start to shape my pot. Now notice I didn't add any more water to it, because now I want to keep the structural integrity of the clay by not weakening it with any more water, really, unless I have to, unless my fingers drag on the pot. So I'm going to go ahead and pull again. And And again, all I'm doing is guiding on the outside, pushing gently on the inside, and making sure that I go up with the revolutions of the wheel head. So it's like counting. The wheel is going 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4 if you want musically. And that's how I'm going up. I count 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, all the way to the top to get that nice line that I'm looking for. I'm going to stop and work on the rim a little bit because we're almost done with our pot. The only thing I have left is to take out the water that's on the inside to make sure that I keep the structural integrity. Remember, water will weaken the clay over time, so I don't want any water on the inside. I want it to dry out without cracking. I want to trim away the excess clay before I cut it off the wheel head. And I'm just trimming down the shape of the pot. Now I may have to touch it up a little bit when I'm done. In fact, I probably will. I'm going to remove the clay strip. I'm going to reshape ever so slightly anything that I might have pushed in. And then the last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to cut it off the wheel head before I pick it up so that it will dry. I'm going to slide the wire tightly underneath the clay and just drag across a couple of times. And that's it. There's my pot. So at this point, if you're a beginner, you want to check to see how well you did on the walls, that they're even and relatively thin so you don't have a kind of a clunky pot. And I'm going to go ahead and cut this open so you can see it. And there it is. You've got a nice even wall all the way up. And then if you want to look at the bottom, there's about, oh, that one's a little thin, but it should be 3/8 of an inch so that I could trim it properly and put a foot on it. And that'll do it.